Most people are waiting for applause before they start their performance. They're waiting for validation before they begin their mission. But true greatness is built in secret. True growth happens in the unseen. You don't get attention first, you build discipline first. You don't get applause first, you develop character first. Today, I want to talk to you about why focusing on yourself quietly, diligently, and consistently is the only way to reach a life where the world can't ignore you. When you focus on yourself first, you are not rejecting the world. You are preparing for it. Think of a seed buried deep underground. No one applauds a seed. No one takes pictures of a seed. Yet under the soil, away from the spotlight, it breaks open. It fights through the dark. It grows roots. That root system is discipline. That hidden growth is preparation. Most people want to bloom before they build roots. They want the applause without the struggle, but life does not work that way. Every success you see today was born in seasons of obscurity, discipline, and focus. In your own life, the small daily habits you keep when nobody is watching are what build the strength you will need when everybody is watching. When you wake up early to plan your day, when you choose to read instead of scroll, when you practice your skill until it becomes second nature, you are creating a foundation. That foundation cannot be faked. It cannot be borrowed. It cannot be rushed. It is yours alone. Imagine an athlete training in an empty gym. The world only sees them on the championship stage. They see the trophies, the medals, the crowds. They don't see the sweat at 5 a.m., the lonely repetitions, the sacrifices. In the same way, your private discipline is what sets the stage for your public success. Without it, when opportunity knocks, you will not be ready. But with it, when the door opens, you will walk through it fully prepared. There will be days when it feels pointless. You'll feel invisible. Your mind will whisper, "Why am I working so hard when nobody notices?" That's the moment to dig deeper. That's the proof you're growing roots. Because the people who only work when someone is watching will never build anything that lasts. True champions work even when no one claps. True leaders prepare long before they're given a platform. Think about the musician who practices scales for years before their first concert. Think about the writer who fills notebooks before a single book gets published. Think about the entrepreneur who works after hours planning, testing, failing, learning. All these moments look insignificant to outsiders, but inside, something powerful is happening. Competence is being built, character is being forged, self-trust is being developed. If you want to be someone whose presence commands attention, you must first be someone whose private life commands discipline. That means being honest with yourself. It means setting standards that don't drop just because no one is looking. It means holding yourself accountable even when there's no audience. People who rely on external validation to stay motivated will always be at the mercy of applause. But people who build internal discipline become unstoppable. In daily life, this can be as simple as sticking to a workout plan, finishing what you start, saying no to distractions, showing up on time, saving instead of spending, reading instead of gossiping, practicing gratitude instead of complaining. These small acts, repeated over time, create an inner strength that becomes magnetic. It's not glamorous, it's not dramatic, but it's transformative. Ask yourself, am I building the habits today that my future self will thank me for? Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you are voting for your future self. You're building a bank account of integrity and skill that will pay dividends when opportunity arrives. You are also training your mind to handle pressure, because the higher you rise, the greater the pressure will be. One day, your preparation will meet the moment. One day, the hours you spent learning, practicing, and refining will become obvious to everyone around you. People will call you lucky or gifted, but you will know the truth. It was discipline. It was your willingness to invest in yourself before the world invested in you. When you start focusing on yourself this way, you stop chasing validation. You stop trying to be everywhere at once. You stop scattering your energy on things that don't build you. Instead, you become intentional, you become focused, you become powerful. The very act of discipline creates clarity. The very act of preparation creates confidence. And confidence is what makes people pay attention. Think of your private discipline as your secret weapon. While everyone else is distracted, you're sharpening your blade. While everyone else is sleeping, you're studying. While everyone else is talking, you're building. Over time, the difference becomes undeniable. The world can ignore you for a season, but it cannot ignore excellence forever. The challenge is to fall in love with the process, not the praise. To wake up each day knowing that even if nobody notices today, you're still moving forward. To trust that every small act of discipline is a seed that will grow into something massive. When you operate this way, you stop waiting for a big break. You realize you are the big break. You become the person who creates opportunities instead of waiting for them. This mindset changes everything. Suddenly your energy shifts. You're no longer desperate for attention. You're deliberate about improvement. You're no longer impatient about timing. You're invested in growth. You're no longer trying to prove something to others. You're working to fulfill your own potential. This is the difference between a life led by external applause and a life powered by internal purpose. Private discipline before public recognition is not just a principle of success, it's a principle of freedom. Because when you know you've done the work, you walk into any room differently. You don't beg. You don't shrink. You don't perform for approval. You show up ready, prepared, and grounded. People feel it. They respond to it. The more you invest in your hidden life, the more powerful your visible life becomes. The more you master your habits, the more naturally excellence flows out of you. The more you discipline yourself in private, the less you'll need to convince anyone in public. You'll simply be undeniable. Your mind is the headquarters of your destiny, and if you allow anything and anyone to plant seeds there, you will end up harvesting weeds where a garden should grow. Every day, you wake up and your mind is like a fresh field ready to be cultivated. If you don't intentionally decide what you're going to plant, somebody else will. The news will plant fear, social media will plant comparison, gossip will plant doubt, and negativity will plant discouragement. You have to become the gatekeeper of your own thoughts. When you understand that the quality of your thinking determines the quality of your life, you stop giving everyone free access to your mental space. Think of your phone for a moment. You protect it with a password. You protect your car with a lock. You protect your money in the bank. Yet many people leave their mind unlocked. They let anyone walk in, dump garbage, leave lies, and sow chaos. If your phone deserves a password, your mind deserves a fortress. In your daily life, this might look like unfollowing people who drain your energy, limiting conversations with those who only complain, and deliberately seeking books, podcasts, and friends that uplift you. Because your mind will always reflect the environment you expose it to. Imagine a sponge. If you dip it into dirty water, it will soak up dirt. If you dip it into clean water, it will soak up purity. Your mind works the same way. It's always absorbing, always recording, always learning. You cannot expose yourself to hours of negativity and expect a positive, powerful life. You cannot live on a steady diet of comparison and expect to feel confident. You cannot tolerate constant drama and expect inner peace. Protecting your mental space is not about isolation, it's about elevation. It's about rising above the noise so you can think clearly and act intentionally. Look at any great athlete before a major competition. They put on headphones, they block out the crowd, they go into a mental zone. Why? Because they understand that victory begins in the mind before it's seen on the scoreboard. In the same way, you must create mental rituals that keep you focused, calm, and sharp. This could be morning affirmations, meditation, prayer journaling, or simply taking time in silence. When you own the first hour of your day, you set the tone for everything else. Think about your own experience with negativity. When you're around people who constantly complain or criticize, how do you feel afterward? Drained, doubtful, small. Now remember a time you spent with someone uplifting, someone who spoke vision and encouragement into you. How did you feel then? Energized, creative, bold. This is not coincidence. It's the power of atmosphere. Your mind is like a flame, starve it of oxygen, and it dies. Give it oxygen, and it grows. Protecting your mental space means surrounding yourself with people, ideas, and environments that give your flame oxygen. Another daily example is your digital life. Every scroll, every click, every video you consume is shaping your thinking. If you spend 3 hours a day consuming chaos, don't be surprised when your mind feels chaotic. If you constantly feed yourself with envy-inducing images, don't be surprised when you feel inferior. Protecting your mental space in the digital age means curating your feed the way an art collector curates a gallery. You decide what hangs on the walls of your mental museum. This also means learning the power of no, saying no to invitations that don't align with your priorities, saying no to conversations that leave you anxious, saying no to opportunities that pull you off your path. Every yes to something meaningless is a no to your mental freedom. Boundaries are not selfish, they are survival. Boundaries are not about pushing people away. They are about protecting what matters most. Your peace, your focus, your clarity. Think of a high-performance car. It needs premium fuel to run at its best. If you pour cheap fuel into it, it will knock, stall, and break down. Your mind is your vehicle. Don't pour cheap information, toxic opinions, and constant distractions into it. Feed it premium thoughts, uplifting ideas, empowering beliefs. Just like a car, what you input determines your output. When you start to protect your mental space, you'll notice a shift. Creativity rises. Peace increases. Energy returns. You'll begin to see solutions where before you saw only problems. You'll begin to attract opportunities that match your new level of thinking. The people who used to drain you will drift away, and new people who inspire you will show up. This is not magic, it's alignment. You are simply living at a higher frequency because your mind is no longer cluttered with noise. And protecting your mental space is not a one-time event, it's a daily discipline. Just like brushing your teeth or locking your door, you must actively guard your thoughts. Each day ask yourself, what am I feeding my mind? Who am I giving access to my headspace? Are these inputs worthy of my future? Because your future self is being shaped by what you allow in today. The truth is, your mind is the only territory you truly own. You may lose a job, lose money, lose people, but as long as you own your mind, you own your future. Treat it as your most valuable asset. Guard it as your most precious treasure, because when your mental space is clean, focused, and empowered, everything else in your life begins to align. Consistency is the silent force that turns small steps into giant leaps, the invisible thread that ties your effort today to the success you will see tomorrow. It is not glamorous, it is not always exciting, but it is the one quality that separates those who talk from those who build. Most people underestimate what they can do daily and overestimate what they can do once. They try to do everything in a burst of energy, then collapse, wondering why nothing changes. But real transformation comes when you show up again and again, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Think about a sculptor chiseling a block of marble. One strike of the hammer does not reveal the statue. 10 strikes do not reveal it either. It is hundreds, maybe thousands of small, steady strikes, each one hardly noticeable, that reveal the masterpiece. Life is the same way. Your habits, your learning, your discipline are like those strikes. Day by day, you carve out the future you want, even though the world cannot yet see it. Consider the power of water. A single drop does not carve a canyon, but a drop falling steadily over years can split rock. Consistency works the same way in your career, your health, your relationships, your finances. One workout doesn't transform your body, but 100 do. One day of saving doesn't build wealth, but years of saving do. One act of kindness doesn't transform a relationship, but consistent acts do. Most people stop before they see the result because they mistake invisibility for ineffectiveness. But invisibility is just incubation. Look at daily life examples. A student who studies for 20 minutes every day will outperform the one who crams once a week. An entrepreneur who makes one sales call every day will beat the one who makes 50 calls one day and then disappears for a month. A person who writes one page a day will finish a book in a year, while someone waiting for inspiration may never start. Consistency doesn't look powerful in the moment, but it compounds like interest. It builds momentum quietly, then explodes publicly. The reason consistency is so powerful is because it builds self-trust. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you tell your subconscious, I can count on me. You stop being at the mercy of motivation. You stop needing someone to push you. You become your own engine. This is where confidence is born, not in big speeches or sudden bursts of effort, but in the quiet repetition of showing up when you said you would. Think of an athlete training for the Olympics. They don't wake up one morning and do everything in a week. They train every day, rain or shine, for years. They perfect their form, improve by fractions of a second, push themselves just a little bit more. By the time they're on the world stage, what looks like a sudden moment of brilliance is actually the result of thousands of consistent, unseen hours. Your life works the same way. When your moment arrives, it's too late to prepare. You either have consistency or you don't. Consistency also transforms your identity. When you do something over and over, it stops being what you do and starts being who you are. You're not just someone who runs, you're a runner. You're not just someone who writes, you're a writer. You're not just someone who saves money, you're an investor. Identity follows action, and action becomes identity through consistency. That's why the most powerful thing you can do for your future self is to pick one small habit and do it every single day. In your daily life, think about brushing your teeth. You don't wait until your teeth are falling out to brush. You do it daily, automatically, because you know it's easier to maintain than to repair. The same is true with your dreams, your body, your mind. Little consistent actions maintain and grow your potential. Skipping them because you don't feel like it is like skipping brushing your teeth for a week. You might not see the damage immediately, but it's coming. Another example is planting a tree. You water it even when it's tiny, even when it gives you no shade, even when it produces no fruit. You keep watering, keep tending, keep protecting. Years later, you have a tree that gives shade, fruit, and life. But if you stop watering because you're impatient, the tree dies before it matures. Consistency is watering your dreams long before they feed you. What makes consistency difficult is the lack of immediate feedback. You go to the gym once, nothing changes. You save money one day, nothing changes. You speak kindly to your partner once, nothing changes. But over time, everything changes. You build strength, you build wealth, you build love. This is why you must fall in love with the process, not the applause. You must trust the unseen compounding of your efforts. The truth is, consistency is a form of respect for yourself, for your goals, for your future. It says, I take myself seriously enough to show up even when no one notices, even when it's boring, even when it's inconvenient, especially then, because anyone can show up when it's exciting. Champions show up when it's hard. Leaders show up when no one claps. Builders show up when no one believes. Consistency is also contagious. When people see you showing up relentlessly, they begin to believe in you, they begin to support you, they begin to mirror your discipline. You become a living example of perseverance, and that attracts resources, relationships, and recognition. You don't have to announce your consistency, it announces you. If you feel overwhelmed by the size of your dream, Break it down to the smallest repeatable action. One page, one call, one push up, one skill, one improvement. Then repeat it tomorrow and the day after and the day after that. Over time, you'll look back and realize you built something massive, brick by brick, habit by habit, day by day. Consistency is slow at first, then unstoppable. It doesn't just build results, it builds you. There is a level of focus and discipline you can reach where you no longer have to convince people of who you are because your results do the talking for you. Most people spend their energy trying to explain their dreams, defend their intentions, or advertise their potential. They post, they talk, they announce, but nothing is more powerful than evidence. When you commit to excellence over excuses, results become your language, and no one can argue with what they can clearly see. People may debate your opinions, but they cannot deny your fruit. Think about the farmer who plants seeds in the spring. He does not stand in the field shouting at the soil, telling everyone how good his harvest will be. He tills, plants, waters, and waits. Months later, when the crops are high and the fruit is visible, nobody needs to be convinced. The evidence is there. Your life is the same. Every choice, every hour of practice, every moment of discipline is a seed. People may ignore it at first because they can't see anything growing. But when the season of harvest arrives, your results will stand taller than any explanation you could give. Look at daily life examples. A young professional who comes to work early, learns their craft, delivers on promises, and treats people with respect may be overlooked at first. Others may gossip or dismiss them, but over time, promotions, opportunities, and recognition begin to follow, not because of slogans or self-promotion, but because the work speaks louder than words. Another example, an artist who practices for years without a gallery, posting their work quietly, refining their style. Years later, one piece goes viral, doors open, and suddenly everyone wants to know their secret. But the secret was simple: let the work speak. There is an irresistible power in quiet mastery. When you show up, improve daily, and deliver excellence without broadcasting every step, you build a momentum that can't be faked. Results attract focus. Results silence critics. Results draw opportunities. People can argue with your personality, your background, or your methods, but they cannot argue with undeniable evidence. The more you focus on producing value rather than seeking validation, the more magnetic your presence becomes. Think of the athlete who doesn't boast before the match, but lets their performance on the field silence the crowd. Think of the student who doesn't brag about studying, but aces the exam. Think of the entrepreneur who doesn't hype their product, but delivers something so good the market can't ignore it. In each case, results are the amplifier. They cut through noise and disbelief. They prove what words can't. Letting your results speak also protects your energy. Every hour spent arguing with doubters is an hour you could have spent building. Every post designed to impress is energy you could have spent improving. When you turn inward and pour that energy into mastery, your actions create their own PR. You stop needing to convince anyone. You stop reacting to every critic. You simply produce, and your production becomes the proof. There's a reason why the world remembers builders and forgets talkers. The skyline of any city is filled with buildings, not speeches. The future belongs to people who create, not just communicate. When you commit to excellence and results, you step into a different league. You begin to stand out without trying to stand out. People start whispering your name in rooms you've never entered. Opportunities find you instead of you chasing them. This is not magic. It's the predictable outcome of consistent, visible achievement. Another everyday example is fitness. Someone can post inspirational quotes about health every day, but if they don't actually exercise and eat right, the results will show. Another person says nothing, posts nothing, but commits to a year of training. When you see them a year later, their transformation is undeniable. The second person didn't need to tell a story. Their body told it for them. This principle applies to every area: career, creativity, leadership, relationships. Excellence is visible. Letting your results speak also demands patience. You cannot plant a seed today and expect a forest tomorrow. It takes time to develop a reputation for quality. It takes time for your work to compound. But when it does, it becomes self-sustaining. The fruit draws attention on its own. People begin to associate your name with results, and that reputation becomes your greatest advertisement. Every time you choose to improve your craft, instead of seeking praise, you're investing in your future credibility. Every time you keep working in silence instead of chasing applause, you're building an asset that can't be stolen proof. When the proof shows up, it will be too loud to be ignored. People who once doubted you will quote you. People who dismissed you will invite you. People who overlooked you will line up to work with you. But this only happens if you discipline yourself to focus on results rather than recognition. You can see this in musicians who spend years perfecting their sound before their breakout album. You see it in inventors who tinker in garages until their prototype changes the world. You see it in parents who invest consistently in their children and years later watch them flourish. In each case, the process is the same. Plant the seed, water it with consistency, protect it from distractions, and let the harvest prove the effort. This approach also changes your self-image. When you know you've done the work, you walk differently. You speak with quiet authority. You don't need to shout to be heard. People feel the weight of your preparation. They sense the authenticity of your confidence. You stop trying to impress and start to impact. There is a dignity in letting your results speak. It means you're no longer at the mercy of perception. It means you're not chasing the spotlight, but building something that will shine on its own. It means your energy is invested in creation rather than promotion. And in the long run, creation always outlasts promotion. When you live this way, your life becomes a message without words. You enter a room and your track record introduces you. Your discipline is visible. Your impact is visible. Your growth is visible. And visibility rooted in substance cannot be erased. Everything you have been building, everything you have been practicing, everything you have been doing in silence has been preparing you for a moment like this. This is the point where you stand up and claim your power. This is the point where you decide that you are no longer at the mercy of circumstances or opinions. This is the point where you understand that greatness is not born in the applause, but in the discipline, in the focus, and in the fire you carry inside. You are not here to beg for a seat at the table. You are here to build a table so strong that others will come looking for a seat at yours. The time for doubting yourself is over. The time for waiting for validation is over. The time for shrinking so that others can feel comfortable is over. The people you admire did not wait for someone to crown them. They built their own crowns with their sweat, their sacrifice, and their relentless consistency. Every small step you've taken, every late night you've worked, every early morning you've risen, every moment you've chosen discipline over comfort, it was never wasted. It has been shaping you, sharpening you, preparing you for the life you were created to live. You have to feel this in your bones. Your focus is your freedom. Your discipline is your advantage. Your consistency is your power. Say it to yourself. I am building something that cannot be ignored. I am becoming someone who cannot be denied. I am turning my pain into power, my setbacks into setups, my effort into excellence. This is how you ignite an unstoppable force within you. This is how you move from invisible to unforgettable. Picture yourself a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now. If you start today and refuse to stop, your results will shock you. Your future self is watching you right now, hoping you will not quit. Your future self is cheering for you louder than any audience ever could. And when you stay the course, when you keep showing up, when you protect your mind and let your results speak, your future self will stand tall and say, "Thank you for not giving up on me." Remember these words of work until your idols become your rival. Work until your critics ask if you're hiring. Work until your doubters ask how you did it. Work until your results are so big that even your silence speaks volumes. This is not just motivation. This is a lifestyle. This is the code of champions, the code of leaders, the code of anyone who refuses to live an average life. Say to yourself right now, I will not stop when it's hard. I will not stop when it's quiet. I will not stop when it's lonely. I will not stop until my reality matches my vision. These are not just lines to repeat. They are standards to live by. When you repeat them, you are wiring your brain to believe them. When you believe them, you begin to act on them. When you act on them, the world begins to respond to you differently. Everything you want is waiting on the other side of focus. Everything you dream of is waiting on the other side of discipline. Everything you were meant to be is waiting on the other side of consistency. People may underestimate you now, but they won't be able to ignore you forever. They may overlook you now, but one day they will study you. They may doubt you now, but one day they will quote you. So rise up and repeat to yourself, I am not a victim of my environment. I am the architect of my destiny. I am not waiting for the spotlight. I am becoming the light. I am not chasing recognition. I am creating results that demand recognition. Let these words ring in your mind, louder than fear, louder than doubt, louder than excuses. Because once you get this, nothing and no one can stop you.